Hi, welcome to your daily dose of Maths Fun, hosted by your Maths Doctor, Mr. Fatur. And today, I am going to go through with you a simple question, basically coming out from the first part of your paper 2 question paper, which some students might get wrong. Not because they do not know how to round off a number, not because they do not know how to estimate a number, but most likely because that they do not understand the question as a whole. Alright, so I'm going to go through with you the specific technique that you can actually memorize and actually understand properly so that you can get this question perfectly correct. Alright, so let's begin. A number is 7,000 when rounded off to the nearest 100. What is the largest possible number? So you know that these are the keywords. 7,000, nearest 100, and then the question is largest possible number. So when you see this type of question, largest possible number, it means that this particular number, the answer has to be larger than 7,000. Okay? The next thing you need to know is the number, even though it's bigger than 7,000, when it's rounded off to the nearest 100, it becomes 7,000. It still goes back to 7,000. So this is 7,000, right? The answer is this one. We don't know these numbers, right? But we need to make sure that when we round off this number, it goes back to 7,000. That's the objective of this question, okay? So what is this number then? We need to see that it's 7,000 when it's rounded off to the nearest 100. When it comes to the nearest 100, which number are we looking at? From here, which number are we looking at? The second number. Okay? We are looking at rounding off the second number to the nearest 100. Because nearest 100 looks at the second number. First number looks at the nearest 10. Second number looks at the nearest 100. Third number looks at the nearest 1,000. So in this question, we are looking at the second number. So, in order to go back to 7,000, the largest number here from 0 to 9, what do you think it is? If let's say we put in the middle 5, round off 5, what do you get? You do not go back to the left, you go to the right. It means this one becomes a 10, which means this one becomes 1, this one becomes 0, right? But that's not what we want. We want this one to remain as a 0. So it has to be smaller than 5. Let's try 4. If we round off 4, what do we get? We get 0. We go back to 0 because 4 is lesser than 5, right? We go back to 0. So we are going back here. So that's why we put 0 here. We put 4 here so that this 0 can maintain. It doesn't change. Alright? So now we have the first number, 70, maintain. This is the number that we are going to round off, right? Number 4. We round off number 4, we get 0. We round off number 5, we get 10. So which is 1, which we do not want that to happen, right? What is the next number then? They are talking about the largest possible number. When we are rounding off to the nearest 100, we are only looking at this number. This number doesn't matter, okay? I repeat, this number doesn't matter because I am looking at the question that says rounded off to the nearest 100. When it's the nearest 100, you only look at the second number, okay? Second number from the right. I am only looking at this one. This one is very important. You need to know that. So this one doesn't matter. Look at the question again. They ask for the largest possible number. So this one, when we don't care about the number, you just put the largest possible number from 0 to 9. So what is the number? Number 9. So your answer is 7049. Let's check that answer again. How do you round off this number to the nearest 100? You look at the number 4, right? Because you are looking at the second number. Nearest 100 means second number from the right. Always remember that, students. Nearest 100, second number from the right. So you are looking at number 4. The rest all doesn't matter, right? So number 4, you round off, it becomes 0. It doesn't become 10, right? So this one will automatically become 0. Then follow suit. That's your answer. It goes back to this question, am I right? So that's how you check your answer. Now, let's try a number bigger than 7049, which is 7050. Okay? You round off number 5 because you're looking at the second number, right? Round off number 5, what do you get? You get 10, which means put a 1 here, you borrow 1, it becomes 7100. Right? Because you round off number 5, it becomes a 10. So you carry a 1 here to borrow. Right? I mean, you carry 1, it becomes number 1. Number 5 becomes 0. You have to carry 1 here. That's why it becomes 7100. Right? So this is not the answer that I'm looking for. So your final answer is 7049. Okay, this is an example of the largest possible number. Just a minute. Now, what happens if I'm looking at the smallest possible number? Now I'm looking at the lowest possible number. When you say lowest possible number, you are looking at the number smaller than 7,000. Alright? Smaller than 7,000. So, it could be 6. But we don't know yet. Am I right? It can be 5, it can be 4. But, you're looking at the nearest 100. Nearest 100, so it means this number we don't know. So there are 4 digits, right? 4 digits, am I right? I'm looking at the lowest possible number. So, which number am I looking at when I want to round off to the nearest 100? Second number from the right. So this one is the right, first number, second number here. So I'm looking at this number. Okay? Now, this is a different technique. Because when I'm looking at the lowest possible number, this 7,000 here, it has to be reduced to 6. The 0 here, minus 1, we get 9. Because after 9, you go back to 0 again. Right? So for this number, what is the number that when you round off, this 9 goes up to a 10? So that this one can carry 1, becomes a 7. How do you round off? So this one, if I put a 4, like the previous question, it goes back to a 0. And then this one, 9, doesn't change, right? So, it has to be a 5. If you put 6, if you put 7, you put 8, you put 9, still the same thing, you still get 7,000 as your answer, but that is not the lowest possible number. So the lowest possible number in this box here is 5. Alright? The next number, I'm not looking at it, right? Remember, the number after the second number, I'm not caring about it anymore. So look at the question. It says lowest. So when it says lowest, you go back to 0. Okay? Because you're looking at from 0 to 9. So lowest possible number, 0. So here, look at the question, you get 0. Alright? So here, lowest possible number, so that when you round off to the nearest 100, it brings a 1 here. Okay? That's why you get 9. Okay? So now, your answer will be 6950. That is the lowest possible number that when you round off to the nearest 100, it becomes 7,000. With me? Thank you. So, what have we learned today from this question? This question will tell you that you have one answer specifically that you need to know about one each of the possible number. Now, let's go through the lowest possible number. So for lowest possible number, you get 6950. Am I right? How do you get 6950? It applies the same for every question. First of all, look at the number that you are rounding off to. You are rounding off to the nearest 100, right? So from this number, 7000, I just put this way. So you need to get 7000, right? What is this number then? This is the possible number. Has to be lower than 7000, right? This 7000 here has to be minus by 1. You get 6. Alright? This one, less than 1 again. How do you get less than 1? You minus 1. So 0 minus 1, you cannot do it. So you borrow from 7, you get 6. Here you get 10. Right? 10 minus 1, you get 9. So here you get 6 and 9. Settle? Now you're looking at these last two numbers. I'm looking at the nearest 100. So which number am I looking at now? This number, second from the right. Always remember that, students, second from the right. That's why you get 5. The next number, lowest number possible. Always look at the number that you are rounding off to the nearest 100, which is the second number. The number has to be a 5. Always be a 5. Alright? Then the number after that onwards is always a 0 because you are looking at the lowest possible number. Now, what if I change this whole question to be rounded off to the nearest 10? Now what happens if I round off to the nearest 10? You will do the same thing. You will do exactly the same thing by looking at the number that you are going to round off to. So you get 7000, right? Obviously, lowest possible number, right? So this one has to be a lower than 7000. So first number, second, and last. Okay, so from the right, always look at the right. I'm talking about nearest 10. Nearest 10 means you are looking at the first number from the right. This is nearest 10. Am I right? Okay, so first number you're looking at nearest 10. Remember, the number that we are looking at has to be a 5. Because I'm looking at the lowest possible number. Number that we are looking at, a 5. Always remember this, a 5. The number after that becomes 0. But right now we are not, there's no number after that, right? So don't need to put anything. Just put a 5. Alright? The number next to it, before it, all the way down before it, how do you get it? You put a 9. 9. Until you reach that particular number that isn't a 0. If the number is not a 0, you just minus 1 from the number, which is a 6. You get 6995. Alright? Standard question, standard answer. Look at the number that you are rounding off the number to. Look at where the number belongs to, which position, put a 5. That is when you are talking about the lowest possible number. Now what happens for the largest possible number? Same thing, largest possible number. The largest possible number. We are looking at 7000 again, with 4 digits here. 100, right? Okay. So look at the second digit. Am I right? Same thing, standard answer, standard number is always a 4. Largest possible number to be rounded off to the nearest 100. Look at the number here that we are looking at, always a 4. The number after that, always a 9. Okay? Number before that remains the same. Remains the same. These two remain the same. But the number that we are looking at right now, we put number 4. After that onwards, we put the number 9. Now, let's try again when it comes to nearest 10. What do you think? When I want to round this off to the nearest 10. Okay, now nearest 10. Look at this number again. Where are you looking at when you want to round off to the nearest 10? First number from the right. Right? Same thing. This becomes a 4. Because we are looking at the first number from the right. Because we are going to round this off to the nearest 10. Largest possible number, put the number that you are looking at as a 4. Okay? Then after that, the rest remains the same. So that's your answer. Okay? Thank you so much.